to approve the consent agenda, the minutes from February 12th, 2024, February 19th and 20th, 2024, record of attendance, February 26th, 2024, special meeting, February 27th, 2024, special meeting, math curriculum review, March 4th, 2024, special meeting, just one meeting a month, and the bills and the financial report, and I'll end there.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now I need a motion for the employment. Lisa Douglas, Haber Elementary School and Special Education Paraprofessional. Heidi Nitt, Transportation Department Bus Driver. Mary Porter, Haber Elementary School, Part-Time Paraprofessional. 2024 Spring Coaching and Volunteer Updates. Resignations. Josh Harvey, St. Mary's Middle School Assistant Wrestling Coach, effectively December 7th, 2023. Emma Sutton, Haber Elementary School Literacy Paraprofessional.
And I'm recusing myself.
I'll need a motion for that.
I make a motion that we move forward on employment and resignations as read.
Second. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, student presentation, Upriver Science Fair.
All right, we had a great set of students participating. So stand back a little bit so it doesn't ring. We saved the first place winners for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th to share a little bit with you today. So the projects that you see are the winning projects at each grade level, and we're going to start with the 6th grade and work our way down to tell you just a couple things about the project. So our 6th grade first place, come on up, Carson. So Carson, I'd like you to share two things. First of all, what was your favorite part of doing your science fair project?
My favorite part of doing the science fair project was waiting for the bacteria to grow, and when it finally showed results, I was so happy.
I remember you sharing with me something that was unexpected. Can you share that with the school board?
The most unexpected thing was the water fountain after disinfecting it was one of the best bacteria growers. I don't know.
Okay. And what one thing did you learn from doing your project that you'd like to share with the school board?
I learned that these items that we mostly use every single day, most of the time, that we should probably disinfect and clean them every single day.
All right. Thank you, Carson. Nicely done. Destiny Perel placed first place for the 5th grade. And I know she worked very hard on this project. What was your favorite part of doing your project?
Everything I thought was the favorite thing of my project was doing the decorating, because I love doing decorations. So I was finishing with them. I think they look pretty cool.
It looks your presentation is excellent. And what one thing did you learn from your project that you would like to share with the board?
That the flowers, when they're frozen again, they will keep freezing, but they'll have less crystals than they were before when they were the first time.
Okay, and you shared one other thing with me about just having to do the project. What did you learn about having to do the project?
I think it's pretty cool to do it, but it did take a while. I think it's pretty cool. It takes about a day or two to get those frozen enough to keep them in the sun for a while. So I think that is probably the hardest part, and pretty cool.
All right, very good. Thank you, Destiny. Our next science fair winner was 4th grade. Emmett not only won fourth grade first place, but he also won the best of show. Now, to win the best of show, you not only have to win your grade level, but then you have to present in front of a couple new judges, and you have to do it personally. So that's your chance to really show that you know what you did really well, you learned from it, and Emmett won that. So Emmett, what was your favorite part of doing lemon electricity?
Hooking up all the stuff and light bulb turning on.
Seeing the results. And they brought in some brand new lemons. They were getting them ready right before you guys came in. I think Emmett, am I right on this, Emmett, would like to show you guys that it lights up the bulb. If we turn off the light, do you think it'll be enough to see that bulb? Maybe, let's give it a try. So while she's getting the light, Emmett, what's one thing that you learned from this project that you'd like to share with the board?
I learned that in London are 0.9 volts and 9.
How much, say that again?
I learned that there are 0.9 volts in a lemon.
0.9 volts per lemon. Okay, let's see if we can see that light up.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I see it.
Nicely done, Emmett. Okay, so Emmett Ridenour,
How long will the lemons stay charged? Will they keep that little light on, you know?
They can last about probably like an hour or something.
Wow. You should patent that.
66 million.
Oh, just the start of car?
66 million lemons will start a car. All right.
How many lemons you get per tree that you plant?
Excellent job, Emmett. And our third place winner is Thomas Hosford, and he did We Will Rock You. Thomas, what was your favorite part of doing your project?
Watching them fizz. The rocks fizz.
Watching the rocks fizz. Did all of the rocks fizz?
No.
No. So you got to learn which ones did and which ones didn't. What was the one thing that you learned, or what's one thing that you learned from your project that you'd like to share with the school board?
You can see through the outside and you can read on a paper.
Ulexite is a stone that has another name. What's its other name? Do you remember, or do you know? It's also called TV stone for that very reason you were telling us. So it's a natural fiber optic. When you set it on print, it will bring the print to the surface. So it brings whatever image it is flat up top. And so I can see why that would be your favorite rock to look at. All right. Well, thank you, Thomas. You did a marvelous job. Congratulations, guys.
Did any of the board members want to ask the kids questions while we have them here? And then, of course, we'd like to get a photo with the board members, if that's okay.
So for Thomas, are all these rocks that are here, are they in North Idaho? Or did you have to find them elsewhere?
Actually, I don't know what they are.
Okay.
Any other questions for any of the students?
Where'd you get the Alexa?
Where'd you get the website?
My dad wanted
That's the source.
That's a good place.
Awesome.
Any other questions? All right, it's tradition that we usually take a photo with the school board and the students, if that's all right? Okay, come on, student, right, this is perfect time.
Yep, perfect. This is the best. He has to turn around. You're in the middle. You're in the middle.
You can stand next to me.
You're one of the tallest boys.
So kids, when we turn, get over, we turn around, point at Josh's hair. This is what happens. You gotta turn around. All right, turn around, and we'll just point up there. There you go.
There you go.
They do stand up better on the side.
Okay, now look at me. 1, 2, 3. Good job. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Should I let Josh have the floor and tell us
Should I
why
explain?
what happened there?
Yeah, just so folks are questioning. So I coached high school wrestling, and one of the big things before the high school state tournament, the kids like to bleach their hair. And it's been something I've always kind of been against. It's like, time to focus, get ready for state, compete. And when the brackets came out, the team was faced with some pretty big adversity challenges. And my son was one of them. And he ended up getting hurt right before the state tournament. And anyhow, I told the boys, I said, fellas, you pull this off. And to my son specifically, you place at state. You can color my hair whatever color you want. Naturally, not this color. So, yeah, when we placed 5 out of the 11 that we took. My son got 5th, and he goes, Dad, we're going white with pink polka dots. So, here it is.
I think you should keep it.
Yeah.
Keep it.
I think you should keep it.
Yeah, all right.
I don't want to see you out during fire season with it.
I know, yeah, that'll be, yeah.
There'll be remnants.
It doesn't wash out either.
All right, moving on to monthly building reports. Upriver, Mr. Blackwell.
Yes, at this point, I want to tell all the families that if you'd like to grab your project, so we can get out of school, it'd be much appreciated. And then you're welcome to hang around if you'd like. We're just going to go through the rest of the agenda, but if you need to get out of here, that's fine also. All right, so you guys are only seeing 4 of the science projects. If I remember correctly, we had 100% participating in 3rd grade, so that brought a project. 2nd grade generally does a project. Chelsea was accident. Yeah, it was in the writing that 2nd grade did the project, and so she went ahead and did one again because she hadn't taught 2nd grade the year prior. 4th grade was, I think, 16 out of 19 had projects here. 5th grade, I think there was 2 students that did a project together, so 4 out of 6. And then 5th grade, I think we had 11 out of 14. So we have pretty good participation. I don't know how that compares to prior years. I know it felt like we had more projects last year, but it was still a good science fair. And I do want to take the opportunity, and I keep thanking them, but this is a giant thing that if it weren't for the parents pushing their kids at home to get the projects done, the teachers do so much. They give so much of their instruction time, having them generate ideas and moving the project along. And of course, the students deserve a ton of credit. But also, Mr. Atchison's been doing the science fair for how many years? I know.
This would be the 29th one I've been involved in.
29.
But they were going on long before I got here. So.
Yes, and I like to point out that we generally have Radical Rick come once a year, and we now have a science specialist in the state, and they both commented that it's nice to see that you still do science fairs because they've kind of fallen out of schools, and it's such a detailed process. Mr. A and Mrs. Stoll, it's their classes this year that's doing it, but they get a lot of judges, and the judges can't be related to the students, and they also can't be judging their own students because they kind of have an idea of whose project is whose. So we get people that really don't know who the students are, and they go through and they judge each grade. And so some of those people that helped out were Dr. Teresa Wrench, Beth Halverson, John Ahonen, John Bowman, Brian Primer, Courtney Green, Jack Ellenwood, Amber Hill, Amanda French, Mike Schmidt, Sandy Kennelly, Jesse Hosford, Melissa Storr, Danny Blackwell, Paul Atchison, and Renee Rouse to run around and make sure that the judging went as efficiently and productive as possible.
And 4th grade.
And what?
Because 4th grade.
Yeah. So they had the tallest task. They had the tallest task because they had the most to judge. But it is, there's not detail, not paid attention, and it's such a great process. And it's fun watching people who don't, and I don't know if I caught any this year, but in prior years, I caught people just from the community. They don't have a kid that has a science project, but it's what's going on in town, and so they come and they check it out. Okay, I don't want to take too much of your time, so on with the board report. We did fire evacuation. We're going to call it the March drill. I know we have to do 9 a year, but I did it on leap day, leap year, so I'm going to count that one as my March one. And nothing irregular as far as the time. We did have a speech language pathologist here who's been here for multiple years. She says it was one of the best drills she'd ever seen. She was so impressed with the teachers and the students, so share that with you. For data review, I decided to look at IRI. We recently talked about our mid-year goals and how we're progressing, so I just picked one thing that we have to report to the state and one goal, and I pulled the data and looked at that. So we are at 53% of our kindergartners through third grade students at proficient or above. We started out at about 39% at the start of the year, so we're making some progress. We have a goal of reaching 60%, and we hope to make that by the end of the year. Plan for change, celebration, just a lot of recognition and strategize for increased growth. See what we can do to get to that 60% or greater. Student recognition on 2/29, we had our Students of the Month Assembly for the character trait of honesty. I like to pay attention to how many families are showing up to those because they get invited. I think our highest this year was 90% of families coming in to see their kids get recognized. This assembly, we had 75% of family representation there. See names on the list for students that were recognized for that character trait. On 3/7/24, we had our annual science fair. Again, thank you to everybody involved with making that happen, and especially the teachers. I don't know if I gave them enough credit. March 4th through 8th, Upriver hosted a book fair, and we had a family night that coincided with the science fair from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. Today, I didn't have the main parent who was running that, but another parent was here, and she said that she thinks we were about somewhere between 3,000 to 4,200. She says there's like $700 in like book fair points that don't really count as what they profited, but as far as with the books attached, it'd be in that range of 3,000, 4,200. She didn't have an exact figure because of that, but she said the other parent could get that to me. But what that means was that surprised and surpassed what I thought they did. She thought earlier this year their book fair profited about 2,000 in sales, so significantly better. We participated in our Silverwood Read to Ride event. We're lucky to get into that. Haven't missed it since I've been in the district. It's a lottery system. We had 36 that at last count, assuming that they were all entered, that earned a Silverwood ticket. I really don't remember what we got last year, but I felt that was a pretty good percentage of our kids. Staff of the month for February is our own Dave Atchison, and that's for caring. And he does a ton for our school. You see the chess puzzle up there. He also participated in chess club. He's here early, he's here late, and he's just one of our shining stars here. And we're very happy to have him. So it was great that we had staff nominate him, and he fit that caring character trait very well. North Idaho College Head Start is planning to visit us on Friday. You guys were in that room that is hopefully going to be theirs. Every time I talk to them, it seems like they've passed a couple more hurdles, but then they tell me, like, can't say it officially yet. We still have a couple more things to do, but things are definitely trending in the right direction. Not sure when they'll start here, but we have a goal of sometime right around spring break, maybe before spring break, maybe after. But the room is very close to being completely ready for them. I told them that if they're ordering things, don't ship it somewhere else, ship it here. That will help the Head Start program start even quicker. They do have a lead teacher in mind. They're still looking for a assistant teacher, and then they were happy with the applicants that they had for the family advocate position and the teacher aide positions. So things are working nicely for that to happen, hopefully by the end of the year. What that means is we have a lot of like details we got to work out. Like, are we going to have them check in through the office because that's going to be extra work for a secretary? Are we gonna note who's all in the building? Do we give them their own doorbell? Do they see the kids and parents in? A lot of guidelines and issues that we still need to deal with, which leads me to our decision units. I've handed those in. A lot of them revolve around having these 2 rooms full with kids and this one. And so we need some help with some spacing issues. We walked the building recently with a couple of the board of trustees, Joe and Teresa, and I pointed out what I'm hoping to get done to give us just a little more wiggle room and space so we can accommodate things like speech and language therapy, a counselor, school site testing. Sometimes we have someone from the state of Idaho that is contracted for online students, and they want a place to assess kids, and we generally oblige and give them a spot, but it's getting tighter. Okay, do you guys have any questions for the Upriver board report?
I have one thing to throw out to you. Can we put that sign on the list of things that need to be out by the highway, things that need to get painted, upgraded?
The one right across from the Fernwood Merc?
Yeah.
We can. I actually don't know, and I'm not sure if any of the teachers here would know who owns that. Is it PTO? I was gonna guess that.
Years ago. That was purchased and run by PTO.
Okay.
And I know my first year here, I remember we had the letters in the office. They asked for them, and I don't know if it gets updated anymore. I don't think it does. But there you go. Beth knows it's PTO property. So.
And I don't even know if they know that, but that just dates me.
Yeah.
But
Other
yeah,
questions?
it's another
All right, end of report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other building reports and department reports are written reports in your boardroom. You have any questions? We didn't make a problem. Some of the items I'll hit on in the superintendent report.
Next open forum.
Nobody said that.
Nobody signed up. Okay, we'll move on to the patrons. Amy Shinist, Idaho House Bill 411.
So I'm here tonight to talk about Idaho House Bill 411, which I understand from talking to Dale Hawkins today is actually off the floor. But the basics of what I was here to address is actually part of currently Idaho State Code 33-133, which was being revised in this state code. And I'm hopeful that you'll still allow me to address the issues because they do exist in its current code.
Please.
Okay, so most students and parents, and I would venture to say educators and board members, are probably unaware of some of the types of data that are collected and stored by the state school board and their vendors. Vendors of the school district include, the school districts overall in the state include, but are not limited to, agencies who provide curriculum, the local health district, and testing companies. These are third parties or not part of the district themselves. Under FERPA, which is a federal law, parents have the right to prevent personally identifiable information from their child's record being disclosed to third parties without their written consent. Written being one of the key words there. So what personally identifiable data is being collected about children at school? The Idaho Code 33-133 has a list of data that is being collected or that they're addressing in this policy. And it includes juvenile delinquency records and criminal records, medical and health records, student social security numbers, student biometric information, gun ownership records, sexual orientation, religious affiliation, data collected pursuant to a statewide assessment via effective computing. This includes some of the more concerning things, including analysis of facial expressions, EEG brainwave patterns, skin conductance, galvanic skin response, heart rate variability, pulse, blood volume, posture and eye tracking, any data that measures physiological resources, mindsets, effortful control, attributes, dispositions, and social skills, attitudes, or interpersonal resources. The code also goes on to say that the State Board of Education or the State Department of Education may share data with vendors to the extent that it's necessary as part of their contract that governs databases, online services, assessments, special education, or instructional supports with a vendor. Think about how schools or their vendors might be collecting and using this kind of data. Why are they collecting this data about our children? Tonight, I asked the school board to preemptively put a policy in place to protect the privacy of students in this district and to eliminate contracts or products that are being used in classrooms with any vendors who collect this kind of data about students in the district. Not doing so is a violation of FERPA, and I would argue it may also be a violation of the First Amendment freedom of religion, because religious information is potentially data being collected, and also the 14th Amendment of the Constitution that states no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process. Liberty is the condition of being free from oppressive restriction or control by government or other power, and a right to engage in certain actions without control or interference by government or other power. Collection of information on gun ownership, sexual orientation, religious affiliation, analysis of facial expressions, brainwave patterns of individuals, heart rate variability, posture and eye tracking, psychological resources, mindsets, effortful control, attributes, dispositions, social skills, attitudes, or interpersonal resources is personally identifiable information and information a government could use to control. This district needs to have a policy in place for parents to opt in with companies whose data collection policies and practices put their children's privacy at risk. By current federal law, or FERPA, parents must opt in writing if they wish for their children to participate in activities where this kind of data is collected and disclosed to third-party vendors. If they have not opted in, this district should provide educational activities that do not require exposure to this type of data collection. Or the board could make this a whole lot easier and just not contract with vendors that collect this kind of data on our students. And that's it. Thank you for your consideration tonight.
Okay, moving on to superintendent's report.
Oh, they're gonna switch seats. Oh, I missed over here. But here. Good evening, everybody. Here's just a couple fun pictures for you. Mostly the pictures are about the different events you heard highlighted tonight. The science fair and the family engagement night. That happened at elementary, or Hebron Elementary and Upriver. I can't say enough good things about the family engagement night. It was just an opportunity for parents and school staff and kids to get together and have fun learning. This last picture, so this is my next slide. You can read more about it in the high school report. However, this is a picture of last Friday. The juniors took the ASVAB test in the morning, and then in the afternoon, they had an option to break into 3 different sessions out of about 15 choices. There was the different military branches and also various college and universities. Yeah, really neat experience.
Does this happen every year?
Good question. Does this happen every year? Being new, I'm not sure. My guess is.
To some extent, yeah, I don't know. if it's
To some
exactly
extent.
like this, but yes.
Some version
College
of,
speakers,
yeah.
yes, I know.
and the military branches are there,
Yes.
and they take the test, that's true. And it complements goal 2 when we're looking at expand college and career. So I know there's a lot of work at the high school level to continue to support that college and career exploration. So this, some other highlights you heard a little bit tonight, staff of the month, and now that's being advertised and recognized in the Gazette every month. That's Heritage Health with Shane and Gazette kind of sponsoring the fact that they want to continue to recognize students of the month for positive behaviors and also recognize staff for their hard work and efforts with kiddos. Some calendar dates that are upcoming. Next week, we have a board development workshop. Friday is a teacher professional training day and a work day. We have 3 of those during the school year, so I really look forward to that. It's an opportunity to bring all the staff together and just remember that while we're all a part of different teams and departments and schools, we're also one big school district. So it's neat to share a common message, interact together and get ideas, and just talk about that direction that we're moving in. Some upcoming career fairs. We have a lot going on with the principals and myself in the next 2 weeks. We took some feedback from Josh Harvey, as well as looking at other fairs that we have attended. So tomorrow and Thursday, we'll be at Spokane and Missoula. The following week is Lewiston and North Idaho College. U of I we missed, so we're having on the docket for next year. We're gonna bring some swag, some lumberjack, Panther Fry to our career fairs. And then a spring break for the students and staff. Other events in the school district. So some of these you're aware of and some I will speak to in a little more detail further down in this report. And some is just to be aware that what's going to be on our calendars and what's happening in the school district. Even more happening in the school district. A lot of these items are different tasks and responsibilities the staff is taking on. And it's just an awareness that they're taking on a lot of new with the website, us moving to a different board agenda, a math curriculum adoption, a new, I didn't even have, oh yeah, the client manager system. So there's a lot of new, which just increases time to navigate these systems as they become more automated and often includes training. So while they're continuing with their regular jobs and responsibilities. So here's a breakdown of some of the items I wanted to talk to in more detail. We talked about shifting our procedure with policies. So I have finally formed the committee and sent out an email today, and we have our first meeting Monday, March 18th. The idea there is we'll bring an average of 45 to 50 new policies over a course of 3 months to review, study, amend. And so if you break that down mathematically, it's about 2 meetings a month for a good 2 hours. And we'll see how we do. And so then in that 3 months, we'll be ready to bring batches to you. Some will be really straightforward, some will take a little longer to amend with law or legislation and also customize for St. Mary's. What you're gonna see next month is, it was requested, since we're changing the procedure on how we're amending policy, they asked, there was a patient request to bring that back formally to the school board. So we'll do that in April and just formally approve the change or shift in how we're amending policy. From the 3 readings to now having an advisory committee and then bringing the recommended revisions to the board.
So would your intent, so there's roughly
490.
490, so a year.
2 years.
Year and a half.
Yeah, we looked in to get some legal assistance while we do this. They said plan on about 2 years. So the first round, we're gonna look at the required policies based on legislation that's changed. Then the recommended policies that, St. Mary's would like or prefer. And then there'll be some that we can look at is, can we exhaust them? Go ahead and expire them. But vetting out with the committee and then bringing it forth to the board. But the idea is let's pare it back if we can.
Yeah.
So we have a set of policies that we want and need, but also that we can stay on top of.
Would it be possible, I'd put more on Tana, but as those batches of policies come through, if we're gonna try to do them in one sitting to get those,
In advance to study.
we have a chance to read them.
Right.
You don't want to read 45 policies in 24 hours? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this will be a little bit of we'll probably adjust a little as we go. For sure, the idea would be what's a reasonable amount to bring forward and give you time in advance to read before we're discussing and approving.
Some of those policies aren't terribly long. They were
Some are straightforward.
quite easy to go through when I read them, but there are some other rather lengthy ones with a lot of legal citations involved.
Mhm.
Quick ones might
Yeah.
Or we'll mix them up a little bit.
Okay. This is that committee is made up of.
Yeah, the advisory committee has a representation of parents and staff that will do a lot like the library policies, that will do a lot of the studying and I guess revisions, if you will. And then we would bring them forward here. And so one other request, and that's a conversation in April, one other request, and it speaks to Amy's question, was it'll be in the presentation part. So that's where there'd be discussion. It'd be on the agenda for patrons to be able to speak to it before it would go to action item. So a thought was, would we want the recommended and amended policies that are coming to the board to go through 2 board meetings?
Yeah.
To give patrons extra time
That would give patrons time to be able to
To-
respond. and
yes.
okay.
That still cuts down on the 3-month process.
Correct.
Yeah, currently in place.
So that'll come forward. Yeah.
Is there any way, I don't know, your avenues, all our different avenues that we can, when we're going over certain items that can be posted so the community knows?
As well, what items are coming up for review?
Well, people will see the policies that are coming up for discussion and possible approval in the board agendas.
Okay.
And so, yeah, when we come back in April for that formal approval of the new procedure, we'll talk about the committee, and then we'll talk about 2 board meetings before we would approve the recommendations.
So we'll offer for once, have one board meeting, talk about it, and then.
Yep. There's a whole nother month then for patrons to see, listen, process,
Okay.
speak. Before, and then it would be another discussion in the second board meeting before we would take action later.
Perfect.
And there's been times in that discussion from patron comment or even the board discussing that when it got to the approval, that we tabled it. Even in
But potentially 2 months
Sure.
to let the community review what policies are going.
Yeah, so there'll be revised policies coming in every month after we get the process going, right?
I'm not sure about that. It depends how well we're doing with the committee and when we're ready to bring it back forward, but potentially I could see that momentum, yes.
After about 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. To get into a rhythm.
Well, I think this first batch, since this has got the most interaction with legal and their statutory and their
Right.
the real big policies that are law required, those are gonna take longer.
We're gonna live and learn a little bit, yes. Some safety measures and updates, and this speaks to facilities, so I think there's also a slide on facility projects in the forecast. We do a district-wide safety meeting, and so some of the projects on the horizon are the surveillance cameras at particularly at Upriver and the middle school. There's some perimeter fencing that still needs to be tended to at the middle school, exterior lighting at all 4 schools. I take that back, the middle school's been completed, so the other 3 schools. And the 2 big projects for this, well, now to the summer, is to add that second secured door right here at Upriver, and the other secured entrance for the high school. That's a little bit of a bigger project. So most of these that I just mentioned fall under the secure and safety grant, including that exterior door at Hayburn. The new secure entrance for the high school, that will come over and above the grant out of our plant facilities funds. And as we're developing the budget and doing the board workshops, you'll see that when we want to allocate that money. Some school safety measures that the committee is talking about. We have a meeting this Wednesday, just continuing to work on our radios, that they work well. Working intercoms, and also there's a page system on the phone. So there's 3 different ways to communicate in the building. We're going to continue to talk about different drills that we want to practice throughout the school. That'll happen this Wednesday. Like there's fire drills, there's shelter in place, active shooter, and evacuation. We want to make sure that our maps in the school building are accurate, should there be a responder or law enforcement. And so we just recently did walkthroughs to kind of allow our first responders and law enforcement to become familiar with our school campus, and also to check, do we have clipboards that are in every classroom, and are maps accurate? Are the classroom, the room numbers, are they visible? So those are just things to take inventory on, and then at these safety committee meetings to refine and improve upon. We're also moving to, sometimes it's called a Knox box or emergency key box. So that all law enforcement, first responders will have 1 key. They enter that building and there's an emergency key box to access all the other necessary keys. Rather than fumbling around with which key to follow. Most of them can break in if they needed to. Hayburn would be a little different story. I'll come back. Okay. Math curriculum update. We're continuing to develop our plan as we identify critical race theory and social emotional learning. And Paul, you can jump in, or Beth, if you'd like to jump in. We have defined critical race theory as a committee and clear on what examples to stay away from. We haven't run into any on the math curriculum that we're looking at adopting. In terms of social emotional learning, we're still defining social emotional learning, and what we're, I guess, evolving to is a definition for social emotional learning, and discovering that there are other topics that are sensitive or concerning for St. Mary's community. And so then identifying what content do we want to look to avoid, if you will, or flag, and then find alternative math problems. And so it's a great, I shouldn't say it's a great, the math committee is a good place to practice and build this procedure to then be able to carry it out or replicate it in other areas.
So we have not defined SEL yet.
We're still working on it. What we're learning is we've got a definition, and there are some other topics that we have